For over a year, we've been investigating violent crimes in California committed by felons who were previously released early from prison with good conduct and rehabilitation credits.
The state prison system is, after all, run by Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. But it turns out only about half the inmates are actually participating in rehabilitation and other programs. That's according to a report released by CDCR after we started asking questions.
Julie Watt shows us what it reveals and what it doesn't.
We've been working to get answers to some pretty basic questions. Are prison reform laws in California leading to more rehabilitation and fewer felons reoffending after release? Well, after years of delay, CDCR finally released its 2018 recidivism report, but it appears the state still can't answer those basic questions.
When somebody moves on from this world, their life is summarized by a single line, starting with the day or year they were born, followed by a dash, followed by the day or year they died.
Dan Tibbetts gave the eulogy at his big sister's funeral.
Every day between the date of birth and the date of death is simply represented by a dash.
And he wants to ensure Kate's dash lives on.
I am here today to talk about Kate's dash.
He explains Kate was an avid animal lover and a loyal volunteer at the Sacramento SPCA, where this fountain now stands in memory of Kate and her dogs, Molly and Ginny, who were murdered alongside her in their Land Park home.
Count 4 alleges a violation of Penal Code.
The suspect, Troy Davis, was arrested on charges of murder, rape, arson, burglary, and intentional maiming of animals, and he has several dashes of his own. Dashes representing his 5 previous prison terms for a series of escalating crimes. Unlike Kate's dash, we don't know what Davis did during this time, or what, if any, rehabilitation he got in prison, but each sentence, each dash, was cut short by early release. Davis is among tens of thousands of California felons who were rearrested after serving a fraction of their sentence, released early under a series of prison reform laws. Laws intended to reduce the prison population and reduce recidivism, the number of felons who commit new crimes, by encouraging inmates to take rehabilitation and education courses in exchange for early release credits. But after a half a dozen years and millions of tax dollars, the state still can't say what's working and what's not. The most recent data show recidivism rates stayed steady for years, around 45%. But the most recent data is for inmates released back in June of 2018, and it was only recently released to the public following months of requests from CBS Sacramento. The report does reveal only half the inmates released did anything to earn milestone rehabilitative or educational credits, and those who did participate in that programming were only 1.6% less likely to be arrested after release. And it's not even clear if CDCR's programs helped.
Do we know if these programs are working based on the current public data?
We don't.
Heather Harris is a principal investigator for the Public Policy Institute of California. Following a scathing state audit in 2018, the Department of Corrections hired PPIC to evaluate how its programs are working. Harris is still working to get all the data she needs to begin that evaluation.
There are just too many unanswered questions to really say whether the incentive structure is effective and also whether the programs themselves are effective.
CDCR's public recidivism report does not include any demographics to indicate which courses and which inmates have the best outcome, or why 50% of inmates are not participating.
It's not that they don't want to, their rehabilitation is limited.
Former inmates we've interviewed tell us many can't get into programs.
Certain prisons offer way more.
There's waiting lists, it might take a year.
And in many cases, prison terms are cut so short with other types of credits, inmates don't have time to enroll in rehabilitation programs, let alone complete them.
The truth is that, about 2/3 of people only serve prison sentences that are less than 2 years. In fact, about 1/4 of people are in for less than 1 year.
And it's not to say they're only sentenced to 2 years. It's that they're only serving less than 2 years.
That is the time that they serve.
With or without programming credits, the day they walk in the gates, nearly all nonviolent offenders get their sentence cut in half with automatic good conduct credits. And most violent offenders get their sentence cut by 1/3. Groups like the prison guards say these standard credits incentivize good behavior in prison. They can lose some credit, but may and often do get it back.
It would be to everyone's benefit to understand how credits can be earned and then whether they actually are being earned. What the credits are intended to do is incentivize program participation, and we don't know whether they're doing that.
PPIC is still in the early stages of a multi-year study with unprecedented access to CDCR data, but that data stops at 2019. So by the time their study's complete, the information will be a decade old, and a lot has happened since 2019. Tens of thousands of felons have been released early with credits, then rearrested. Like the man accused of killing Kate Tibbetts and her dog, and the man accused of killing Selma police officer Gonzalo Carrasco, and Smiley Martin, accused of a mass shooting in the shadow of the state capitol. And we may never know if they received any rehabilitation at all.
For months, we've been working to get more current and detailed data from CDCR. Well, now we're bringing our unanswered questions to lawmakers to find out who can force CDCR to release this crucial public safety information.